Okay, we like I said, we kind of touched base a little bit on you entering prison and everything, and you were wanting to talk about like the conduct. Can you from the time you entered prison to now,
Okay.
what all has changed? Has it been the same to an extent, or has there like been like major changes throughout your time?
No, it's actually been a major change in some of the CEOs' ways of doing things, and in the system is changing for the good, I'll say, but it's not all the way there. It's changing for the good because you got the kind of like revising the system because of this new generation that's coming in. Ever since these younger guys have been coming in, they've been kicking the older guys out that's been down 20 to 25 years, which is good, you know, but it also has a downside because there's guys here that's been down for a while. Now I'm talking about myself, have to deal with these young kids that come in now. And a lot of us, we don't want to tolerate that. A lot of us raised our kids already. Um, but as far as the conduct and COs, I think right now it's worse, and it's going to be worse for the people that's been around for a while because the CO's attitude is changing because of the young guys that are coming in because they have the I don't care attitude. So they know what they're dealing with, and they put us all in as a whole. COs, they don't look at us like you're an old guy. You've been around for a while. We know you. No, you get put in the same boat as everybody else.
I kind of wonder if, speaking of that, because I've noticed since like I started work, I officially started working in 2007, and I've
Okay.
noticed like you're saying, a younger generation. I'm kind of wondering because is the COs younger, or are they older, or just kind of very
Believe it or not, they're younger because they're just graduating from their academy. So they're rookies. And that's
okay?
even worse on top of it.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering there too because I've noticed a lot of people like that's way younger than me. I've noticed
Yeah,
a lot of them
yeah.
as well. Or like
20-year-olds,
yeah,
19-year-olds.
yeah, they're in
Yeah,
that category where you said a lot of the new guys that are coming in locked up. They just
coming
have
in.
that I don't care
Yeah,
attitude, and a lot of the CEOs probably had that. 'Cause a lot of the younger kids I work with and stuff throughout the years, like you'll get
right,
some good ones, but a lot of them, like my job previously, like I had so many young people, there'd be like one or two good ones, and the rest of them's like I don't care. This is a job. I'll leave,
right,
tomorrow. And
right,
so I see that overall,
right.
like yeah, it's just bad. But I know we had talked earlier with everything, and you said you had the assault on you in 2001. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. In like 2001, I had a guy that was my cellie, and he was into sexual stuff, and I told him I wasn't interested, and he took it the wrong way. He took it to the point where he started getting aggressive to where he got like, he felt like he was disrespected by me telling him I'm not involved. Because the only reason why he came at me is because of what my case revolves around. And once a lot of people hear about your case, they automatically assume that this is what you're into. And that wasn't the case. And I tried to explain to him that I'm not that person you think I am. So he got me to a point where we were going to fight in the cell. It was like, I don't know, 12 o'clock at night. And the guy decided he didn't want no problems, and I didn't want any problems. So I decided to go to sleep. About 2 o'clock in the morning, I was dead asleep. In the meantime, while I was sleeping, he was boiling hot water, which we call a stinger here. And it's a homemade uh, thing you can heat up water. It's a thing that you make to heat up water. And it boiling water. So he took that, put baby oil in it, and some other stuff in the water. while it was boiling. But while he was doing that, he hit me in the head like 2 o'clock in the morning with a Kobe adapter. I mean, this thing was huge. He hit me like 3 times. The fourth time I caught it in the ear, and I wrapped it around my arm so he doesn't swing it at me again. He also cut me with a razor blade in my face, and he threw that hot water on while I was sleeping in my face. So all this happened like so fast. And then what the worst part was, when he hit me with the adapter, all I could, my vision just went out because there was so much blood that I couldn't even see. I'm wiping my face, and no matter how much I wiped my face, I couldn't see. So the guy freaked out. He freaked out so bad because he thought I was dying or he killed me or something. But he ran, and we have these panic buttons in the cell. He went and he pushed the button. He told the CO that, there was a problem in the cell, so they came rushing to the cell with me, yelling at me. To put my hands down, I'm holding my head because my head's bleeding, blood coming out of my head. And telling them, if you don't put your hands down, I'm going to spray you, and this, that, and the other thing. So obviously I had to comply. I had to put my hands down in the process of bleeding all over the place. They took me out. They brought me to an outside hospital, gave me stitches, and asked me if I wanted to come back to the block at the time, and I told them no, I need time to heal. So they put me in a hole for a while so I could heal up. In the meantime, they took this guy and they put him in Northern because that's where I guess the type of people would go. Like if you assault somebody like that, they put you in Northern at the time. So they sent him there. In the meantime, he decided he wanted to bring me to court. He wanted to sue whoever he wanted to sue, included me. He told the newspaper I assaulted him. Now, mind you, this guy is like 2-3 sizes my weight. So we brought it to jury, we brought it to trial, everything. And the jury found him guilty, gave him 5 years. Added, he just did 5 years, but he just got 5 more, like he never did it, started his time. So he ended up getting 5 years from the jury, but they didn't buy his story. I didn't assault him. I didn't try to. They say, okay, if I came at him, how come you don't have any marks on you and this guy does? So they didn't, and the COs, some of the COs were on my side, and the verdict was he was guilty and I wasn't. And to this day, I run into certain COs and they say, well, this guy is still doing the same thing that he was doing before. So he hasn't changed. And this all happened, and for the people that live in Connecticut that are listening to this story, this is all happened at McDougal Correctional. I just wanted them to know what facility that this happened in so they'll know what I'm talking about.
One question with that gentleman. Was he an older gentleman?
Yeah, he was a lot older than me.
So do you think he just kind of tried to use his age type thing, and where you were, like I said, 4 years into prison, do you think he just tried to kind of like scare you and think that since you were young and kind of knew there that he could just like overtake you type thing?
Well, I'm not going to take this away from it, though. I volunteered to move in a cell with him, mind you, because you can't just move in a cell with somebody without, getting these people permission, and you got to sign a paper saying that you want to. But I had no idea this guy was the way he was. But the problem I have, and I could have sued these people that I didn't know, that they knew about this guy. They knew what he does over the years. They knew what he was about, but they still let me move in a cell with him, knowing what they knew, And it's sad because that's a problem. They put you in a cell with people that they don't even, they know about this person, but they should be more aware of who they're putting people in the cell with. But they don't. They just put you with anybody. And then what they'll say to you, deal with it. You guys fight, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take you to the hole. So you either move in or you get a ticket for refusing housing. What kind of choice is that?
Yeah.
That's not dealing with my security by pushing somebody in the cell with somebody that they know that they're not going to get along with.
Yeah.
And what they'll say is, well, this is not a place for people to get along. But that would stop a lot of fights. That would stop a lot of violence.
Yeah, completely understandable. I know when we talked earlier, you had mentioned about the one gentleman that had the issue where, the whole medical staff and the COs didn't help.
Right.
If you want to touch
Right.
more base onto that and kind of go into like how many things like that happen, like is it a
Oh,
common
yeah.
thing?
Oh, yeah. This guy fell out here, and he was on the ground for 45 minutes. There was about 8 cops standing around him. Nobody went and touched him to see if he had vital signs or see if he's okay. They even asked him, was he okay? Can he move? I get it. If you fall, you got to lay there until medical comes. But medical took 45 minutes to come get this guy off the floor. And you would think they would run. They come strolling down here like they was taking a Sunday walk through the park. What if something really happened to this guy? And he was to the point where he had brain damage or something. This guy would have been gone by the time they got here. Now, the CO, they have this place would have been full already. There'd have been a dozen cops, all kind of medical staff, all kind of stuff. So I don't understand why is it that way. Then they had another gentleman. He had a diabetic shock. He turned damn near purple before they even came to him. He's in the last cell. He's so far down in the jail. By the time they got to him, and they took their sweet on time, it's like a half a mile to get from medical, honestly, to that block that we were at. And this guy shouldn't have been where he was with his medical issues. But when they got to him, he was purple, non-responsive. He couldn't move, nothing. He was turning blue. And somehow, they ended up bringing him back. But for the time that they're taking to try to help people is ridiculous.
You said it was only half a mile to get to there?
Yeah, it's like a half a mile. The hallway's pretty long. Yeah, it's like a half a mile.
Yeah, that's crazy though.
And
You'd still think they would get there still fast though.
You have 1 minute left.
The COs are out of shape. The staff, the medical staff, by the time they get down there, they're helping. They should be training for this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Okay, but you were talking about that incident. So, with like I said, how many times do you think stuff like that happens? Like, is it pretty much in every once a month or every couple months?
Just about every day.
Oh, it's no.
And I want to tell you a story that happened with my cellie. One day, my cellie had got into an argument with some kitchen worker, and they were in the kitchen together, I guess, working, and it boiled from the kitchen. It came all the way back to the block. I told my cellie to leave it alone. It's nothing. My cellie's talking crap to the guy through the door. The guy jumping in. The guy didn't want it. So my cellie thought that it was going to be a weak point for him to go mess with this guy. I said, look, man, I told my cellie, don't mess with this guy. I said, you don't work out. This guy is big as a house. I said, you don't work out. You don't do anything. This guy is going to tear you up. Now, I'm in the cell. We're doing count. So we got count from 11:30 until 1 o'clock. So this whole time, I'm in the cell. I'm telling him to leave it alone. He just can't leave it alone. I'm going to get him so it's the door open and blah, blah, blah. So I'm sitting on my bed. Before I knew it, he jumped. He was on the bottom bunk. As soon as 1 o'clock came and the door popped, he goes flying out the door down to the guy's cell. He goes in the dude's cell, closes the door, went in like he was playing hockey, pulls the shirt over the guy's head and starts beating him up. The guy gradually takes the shirt, pulls it over his head like he's nothing. Why am I telling punching him? And he just gave this kid, my cellie, everything he had coming to him. I mean, he beat him so bad. He was in a coma. I think it was like a month or six. I'm not saying 6 months. I think it was a month or two. But he was on life support, and the state was going to pull the plug. They were looking for his father. They wanted to know what he wanted to do, and his father finally showed up, and I got internal affairs come and want to talk to me and wanted to know what happened and blah blah blah. So this guy, Marcelli died. By the time he got on the tier, by the time the medical got to him, he died like 3 times before he got to the cell to go by myself so they could bring him down the stairs. They had him on a gurney, but he died 3 times. Now, before medical got to him, he was in a puddle of blood on a tear, and every time he breathed out, blood was just gushing over the tear like a waterfall. It was falling down onto the floor, and he was choking on his blood because it was all in his lungs. His face was dismantled. His head blew up because it was so swollen. I didn't even recognize him. And I seen him like months later. I had to go to the hospital. And he said, Earl, what happened? I said, dude, you don't want to talk about that. You don't even want to remember what happened to you. He insisted that I tell him, and I never told him. But I was like, man, I told you not to go in there with that dude almost killed me. But the same guy, like, he was supposed to go home. He ended up stabbing somebody and ended up getting 10 years. That's why he didn't go home the first time. He tried to stab somebody and ended up getting 10 more years added on. This is the same guy that got beat up.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff, I mean, I haven't seen nothing like that happen, something like that in a while. But we still got our issues and stuff that goes on between staff and inmates. I remember being in SEC one time, and I seen the CEOs, not one, CEOs, beating up this one guy in a wheelchair. The guy's in a wheelchair. They dumped him out of his wheelchair. I guess he's paralyzed from the waist down, and they just beat the crap out this dude. What do you get out of that?
What was
They beat
what was
this
the
kid
reasoning?
was young, he was crying, and they were just beating him up.
What was the reasoning behind? Like, what was their reason
I
behind
don't
him?
know. I guess the kid was just talking crap to them, and they didn't take it. I guess, when you get around your friends, people say certain things to you, and I guess they had an ego to show in front of their buddies. But they were acting like the camera didn't work, the battery died. None of that happened. They beat the crap out of this kid. I watched the whole thing from my door and say, instead of restraining him, they were beating him and kicking him, and he couldn't do anything because he was paralyzed.
Yeah,
So it was crazy.
that's messed up.
Yeah. But this is the way that, goes on behind closed doors that people don't see out in the world. They think that TLC or whatever is running, no, it's not running properly. These people, think that they can do whatever they want because we're locked up. We got rights. And they don't even like that fact that we got rights. But we got rights. And if one of them does anything to you, you got the right to call a state trooper. You just as much as you're on the street, you can do the same thing again. You call the police on them.
I know there's kind of like a joke with like nothing against like all police officers and COs and stuff. Like you do have probably your decent ones and stuff, but I know people always say that like the muscle heads in high school and stuff, like when they get out in the real world, they get a badge just so they can still pick at people, and kind of like you said, like an ego thing. And I like when I done security, like we were just security guards, at a power plant, and there was actually some people that were like that. They put a badge on and completely changed. Like thought they were the worst person in the world. Like nobody could stop them. Like dude, you're just a guard. Like there's nothing to it.
There was this one guy, right? I came in. I was working in this front area of the town, and this one guy came in. He was cocky as all hell. He was all juiced up. He thought he was the shit because he fight that Thai fighting or whatever UFC stuff. So he figured he was going to try to use it on an inmate. Well, he got some bad news because that inmate beat his ass, and then another one came and he was beating both of their asses at the same time. He had to be actually rushed. The kid that was beating up both of these cops at the same time. I'm sitting there watching it. I couldn't believe it. This kid is beating them dudes back to back, back to back, back to back. You know, he's going beat him, beat him, beat him. And then the only way that kid got stopped is when they all rushed in and they all jumped on him. But yeah, you got one thing here that are gun ho that just think they're on top of the world, that they're untouchable. You know, but I've seen them get hurt too. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm against the police, but what's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. I've seen it many times over where the CEOs get hurt because they go above and beyond what they're supposed to be doing. To me, you know what I call them? I call them Maytag police because they don't carry no weapon. The only thing they got is a pair of handcuffs. Not saying that I'm going to do anything to them, but they walk around with these chips on their shoulders like they're carrying guns, the batons. They don't have any of that stuff. But trust me, they don't carry any of that.
Mm-hmm.
To be acting on that. You know?
Yeah,
You know, but it's a constant thing, though. You just, every day you get ones that is like me. I got punished for, I was threatened one day, but they took my job. This is mental health. I went to mental health to get help. They took my job because I was threatened. You know, when you're mad, you really don't think about what you say. And I told the guy, look, man, I was just mad and I said some things that I shouldn't have said. And they gave me a Class A ticket. They took my job. And now I'm jobless. I can't get a job, for a whole year before I can get another job. I can't get contact visits for 2 years, only because I was going through some stuff with my sister. I get it, we're not supposed to threaten or whatever, but they didn't even take into consideration what I was going through with my sister. My sister's dying of cancer. She's crying on the phone, and it affected me in a way where I needed to see mental health. But they didn't even take that in consideration. They just, we're going to send you to the hole because you're threatened, and we're going to give you a ticket. So I got the wrong end of the stick because, I threatened, but I asked for help. And I still didn't get my help. I'm still waiting for mental health to help.
What's one thing, or probably a couple things, like overall, because you always hear like the term, like they don't really, where they're supposed to rehabilitate, and they don't. Because I know a lot of people say that prison just makes criminals better criminals. Like overall, what do you think are some key points that like prison systems could do for, you guys, personally, like with your mental health or just how things are ran? Like, what would you change to make things better? And you think that would actually benefit you all?
I would change the point, how they revise in the police department, how they should deal with people out there in the world.
Mm-hmm.
In certain situations, they should do the same thing in here. Certain scenarios, you got to act a certain way, you got to be a certain way. Because everybody's not coming on that rah-rah bull crap. Mm-hmm. There's people with serious problems, people with issues, but they don't look at it like that. They look at it, oh, here we go, we got a nutcase. You don't know what that guy is going through. I think they should go through a training course on how to deal with inmates or people in general. But they don't have that. They just get them out of the academy and throw them in and teach them that they got to be hard, which is uncalled for.
Yeah.
There's no need for that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I definitely agree on that. Yeah, there's no need for them to be, which I don't know why. Are they trying to be like kind of like how some kids have like the tough love? Maybe they think that maybe if they
Nah,
do like be tough on you
nah,
guys, that it's going to be like, oh, they'll change them. But yeah, that don't work.
nah, not at all. But I do have to, we're at the 13 mark, and I do have to address people real quick.
Okay.
Don't mind. Okay. If anyone would like to get in touch with me, they can find me on Facebook. But if you want to contact me directly in prison, go to SecurisNet and sign up for messaging, which is like email. I have a tablet myself, and I can respond every day. My name is Earl Gladding, and my MA number is 234-652. You can also write me a letter at McDougal CI, 1153 East Street South, Sunfield, Connecticut, 06080. If you want, I can even call you. Thank you. Yeah, so they come in with these gun hole chips on their shoulder for nothing. There's no need for it. But, like I said, they need to go to a class to learn how to cope and deal with certain situations, and they're not nobody's teaching them that. They're teaching them in their academy to come in with the gun hole attitude, and there is no need for that whatsoever. None. Now, if somebody brings it to you like that, then okay. But most of the time, nobody's doing that.
You have 1 minute left.
Before we wrap real quick, out of everybody like that in there, how many people do you think actually need to not be locked up and need like mentally be in a mental institution getting the proper help they need? Like,
I'm gonna say at least 50%. At least. That's at least half.
yeah, that's a
a lot.
lot. Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot. But it's true, it's at least half. And I'm including myself. That's half.
Yeah, it's kind of like hard to take in because I hear that a lot. Like, there's a lot of people that actually, they shouldn't be in prison. They need to, be somewhere getting the help they need to, get better and everything.
They get ready to hang us up.
Okay.
All right. It was nice doing this interview with you.
Thank you for using Security.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Right, bye. Okay, that was the finishing part 3 of our interview with convicted murderer Earl Gladding. I thought that was very interesting, hearing his prison stories and things that he has went through, things that he has witnessed. I see that in reading books and talking to other, inmates and stuff that, which you also see it on crap documentaries and stuff. Like, I know a lot of people has that mindset, like, well, they're in prison, they deserve it, but I could get, backlash for, which I think I've made comments on other episodes, but, you know, yeah, people, they've done bad things, but they're still human. And there's, not everybody, even the people out in the world are not perfect. So, you still have to be respectful to people in a sense. Even if you don't want to be, you still have to be, especially in that type of job situation, because you're not helping the situation. And just the ending, like what he was saying, because I hear that a lot there's a lot of them that do not need to be in prison, that they should be in a mental institution in a sense of getting help, the proper medication and all that. And with him saying, with his personal experience where he's at, 50%, that's a lot. I'm not sure the exact number that's in there, but I'm sure most prisons, give or take hundreds, like close to 1,000, more sometimes, more. Like I know at Moundsville, when I done a tour there, they had said at one time there was like 3 inmates a cell and they had like over 2,000 people. So take that, just say 2,200 people, and say you take what he said, 50%. That's 1,100 people that could be getting proper help somewhere else, and bettering themselves and possibly being able to make it out in the real world. Because I know I had talked to Earl before, earlier before we recorded this, and to discuss what we were going to go over. And that's what he was talking about then as well. And a lot of them do that too. He's been locked up since '97, and there's a lot of them that's been, locked up. You got some that's been locked up since the '80s. Some that might still be locked up from the '70s if you go far back. If some of them's probably in their '70s, '80s, but like they don't know. Like people, like he was saying, and our previous phone call before this was like, the technology. People's like, oh, they don't need it. The tablets and everything, but like they're, it's easier and stuff. It's cost efficient. Like you can't really hold prisoners hostage on technology. I don't think either. And like I said, we have access to it. I think they should be able to have, like, I can understand like Facebook stuff like that, but they should be able to have access to what they have access to with like phone calls and everything, and tablets where they can e-message people and stuff like that. So, which one thing I do want to mention, I don't know. I know Connecticut gets free phone calls now, and they do the e-message that he was talking about on Securus. That also, I'm not sure how many stamps they give you on there, but I know they've been giving me stamps. Like I think say I used 20 in a month. Like I keep going up to 75. So I don't know if they say you have 10 stamps at the end of the month, they give you up to 75. Like that's the max they give, like to balance it out type thing. But yeah, so if you do want to contact him, like I said, it most likely is not going to cost you any money. Like it might at first maybe get stamps, and again they might give you. I'm not sure because when I first signed up to like e-message him and stuff, and some others there, um, it had to pay a couple dollars for some excuse me for some stamps on there, which is a whole lot cheaper than like regular stamps. But I thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed this three-parter. I really enjoy, listening to their stories. I find it fascinating to learn more about, an individual and where they came from, because, you know, not to continue this, but, you look at somebody that's in prison, and a lot of people are just like, oh, it's a monster, and for things they did, which like he said, his crime, he thinks about it, he's remorseful for it and all that, and they just then you understand what happened before, like where they come from. You hear a lot about their childhood, stuff like that, and just things that the situation they were in at the time. And I know there's many people that have said it, like we all have that power to do it, and anybody could do it. Like everybody has different breaking points. You might say, well, I'm not going to kill somebody, but that breaking point hasn't been reached yet, in a way, if you look at it. I don't know, it's just very, very many things you can think about in that situation. But like I said, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.